And now WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
This is Purple Connection. I'm Alex Glaze, joined by Rick Ritter, coming up to you this evening following another Ravens win.
We can get used to this, can't we?
Yeah, it's always
good.
It's always easier to do these shows when the Ravens win. But we have a big show tonight. The Ravens now won 4 straight. Coming up for you tonight, we got Cordell Woodland of 105.7 The Fan checking in with us in a few minutes, and Kyle Goon of the Baltimore Banner also joining the show. But if you missed the game yesterday, let's do a quick recap here. You missed a good one. It lived up to all of the hype. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense got off to kind of a slow start here. Game was tied at 3 after the first quarter, but then the offense got rolling. A career first half for Zay Flowers, 9 receptions, 132 yards. And that's just in the first half. Mark Andrews gets in the end zone for the first time this season to end the first half. And after the game, Lamar said that he owed Andrews, after a little blunder in the Bengals game here, but almost 500 yards of total offense for the Ravens. Derrick Henry, 2 touchdowns and 100 yards on the ground. Ravens win 30-23. And the pick your poison offense, a big reason why.
When we got Derrick Henry and stuff like that, we got Mark, Zay, Isaiah Likely, Bateman, Nelly, Charlie, Patrick Carr. Like, we got all these guys, Tylen Wallace. We got all these guys on our offense. Justice here, I can't forget about Justice. And our offensive line, the whole unit. It's like we got guys who want to work.
No, I just think it's great. You got so many guys that can make plays. A lot of guys are getting chances to get the ball and be able to showcase their talents. That's what you want as offense.
All right, and to continue this conversation, we're going to welcome in Cordell Woodland of 105.7 The Fan. Cordell, thank you for joining us.
Hey, what's going on, Alex? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, Cordell, let's start with this. 500 yards of offense. This Ravens offense just looks on a different level than I think any other offense in the league right now. What are you seeing from the Ravens?
I'm seeing a team that's tough to stop. They can beat you in the run game. They have the leading rusher in Derrick Henry. Lamar Jackson has been great in the run game himself. And then you're seeing a team that, as we saw yesterday and really last week against the Bengals, if the defense is going to sell out to stop the run, the Ravens can beat you through the air. Lamar Jackson, 4 touchdown passes against the Bengals last week. This week against the Commanders, throws for over 300 yards, has the touchdown to Mark Andrews as well. I think they're showing, like Lamar said, they are a pick your poison offense. Do you want to stop us from running for 250 plus yards? Or do you want to stop the 2-time MVP from throwing the ball all over the field? It's a tough decision to make. And I don't think there is a right decision for defenses. This offense is just going to be tough for every team they play.
And Rick, a quiet 132 yards and 2 touchdowns for Derrick Henry. When I looked at the stat line at the end of the game, I was like, wait, 130? It's just, what are you seeing from Derrick Henry? He's just playing out of his mind.
He's lights out. Biggest addition of the offseason for any team in the NFL, and I think Cordell just nailed it. This is a pick-your-poison team, and the days that you can't rely on Derrick Henry, even though it seems like he has a quiet $132, you can throw the ball, and that's guys winning on the outside, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but just can't say enough about 22, the way he wears defenses down. The Ravens have always been a great run team, but with Derrick Henry this year, it is on a different level.
And guys, after the game, Commanders linebacker Dante Fowler Jr. said that the Ravens offense did exactly what he thought they were going to do, and they still couldn't stop it. 500 yards of offense, they knew what was coming, still couldn't stop it. What does that tell you about when it comes to game planning against this Ravens offense? This is a guy that's on the other team saying, we couldn't stop this. Cordell, what does that tell you?
Yeah, it tells me that it's going to be a situation where defenses are going to kind of have to rely on the Ravens to beat themselves at times. You're going to have to lean on the forcing that offense into some mistakes. And, Lamar throws the interception early. They have the missed snap on the Tyler Linderbaum fumble to Lamar Jackson on a 3rd down. So those are the types of things that teams are going to have to rely on, is to kind of force the Ravens into some mistakes of their own. The Ravens offense has struggled with penalties at times this year. That wasn't necessarily the case on Sunday, but yeah, you can have the right game plan. And like you said, I don't think any of us were surprised at what the Ravens went out there and did, but it's a matter of, can you stop it? And right now, I don't think that there's any defense out there, at least that we've seen, that can stop them for all 4 quarters.
You know what? Hats off to the players for execution. Hats off to Todd Monken for calling this game plan and the game plans that he's called over the past several weeks. This is an offense that every single game this season has put up 20-plus points. And we can sit here and it's very easy for us to say, oh yeah, if you stack the box, we're going to throw the numbers on the outside, guys are going to win one-on-one. It's a lot easier said than it is done. So props to Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, the tight ends, winning one-on-one matchups, and Lamar hitting those guys and putting them in opportunities to succeed. And then the offensive line, who just a couple of weeks ago, we were sitting here at this desk saying, is this the right unit for them this year? And they have really got things going, and it is a pick-your-poison team, and they make it look easy. It's not supposed to be that easy.
And, Rick, you brought up Zay Flowers, so let's just turn the page to him now, right? I mean, 9 receptions, 132 yards for Zay in the first half. I mean, that's crazy. A career day for him, a career day for Zay, and really just for him to do that and then not touch the ball in the second half, but for the Ravens offense to seemingly not miss a beat, I mean, it's just incredible. But for Zay to have that kind of day, I mean, this is the kind of day I think Zay's been waiting to have, right? Ravens fans kind of feeling like they have a true number one receiver now.
Absolutely. This is a guy who he showed the glimpses of it last year, and you could see what he can do. This year, he's got back-to-back 100-yard games. Yep. And what do I say when I mean win one-on-one? I mean when he's being pressed at the line of scrimmage, he can get off the line of scrimmage, he can get vertical on his route, he can create separation. That's what a number one receiver does. And when he has a guy like Derrick Henry in the backfield for him, it makes his job so much easier. They don't have to rely on him, and that's when this team is best.
Absolutely. And Cordell, you know, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but Derrick Henry kind of being the finisher of this game, right? For the second week in a row, you know, it's that toss left that is seemingly just the knockout blow to another team. But, you know, Derrick Henry doesn't want to talk about it, but we will. Just how incredible is it to have that kind of back on this team now? I mean, he's the back that the Ravens obviously were hoping for when they signed him, but to see what he's doing right now, especially at the end of games to finish games, how big is that for this Ravens team?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge, especially for a team that has had their own questions about putting teams away, right? About finishing these games. And that's the best way to do it, is to run the ball, kind of take a team's heart away, and pick up first downs when you need them to. And that was kind of the question I asked Derrick Henry yesterday after the game, just how much pride does he take in being a closer, because he's been that way his whole career going back to Tennessee. And so, you know, it's not an easy thing to do. The Ravens have had great rushing attacks throughout their history, especially in the Lamar Jackson era, but it's something to be said to have one guy in Derrick Henry that when you need to put a defense away, when you're in that situation where you are in a gotta have it first down, you can give it to him, and whether it's a handoff, a pitch, whatever, you trust that he's going to keep the chains moving and most likely have the game end in your favor.
Absolutely. All right, well, he's Cordell Woodland of 105.7 The Fan. Thank you, Cordell, for joining us.
Appreciate you guys for having me.
Absolutely. And we have more Purple Connection coming up after the break. Is Lamar Jackson the MVP so far this season? Kyle Goon of the Baltimore Banner joins us to discuss.
WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely. WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
And welcome back to Purple Connection. Joining the show now is Kyle Goon of the Baltimore Banner. Kyle, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. All right, Kyle, well, you got 2 columns up for the Banner right now with opinions about this MVP race. You know, we're just finishing up week 6, but, you know, the MVP race, of course, a hot topic here. One article you got is about Lamar Jackson, of course, who's certainly playing at an MVP level, but the other one is about some chatter brewing about another Raven that maybe should be considered, Derrick Henry. So, you know, that's a good problem to have if you're the Ravens, you know, to have 2 guys that are in this MVP discussion. But what's your take on this, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, if I had my druthers, I would rank Lamar as the number 1 MVP candidate right now. I know it's a little boring to people. Oh, 3 MVPs for Lamar Jackson. Oh no, what are we gonna do? But the fact is, I think he's been the best player. You know, he's on pace to throw for as many yards as he's ever thrown in his career. He has 10 touchdowns, so only 2 picks, and both picks went off receivers' hands. I think Derrick Henry has unlocked a different part of his game, but he's unlocked a different part of Derrick Henry's game too. So them playing together has this great effect where they're both kind of amplified by having each other in the backfield.
Rick, you know what's interesting about this? I mean, Lamar right now, second behind Patrick Mahomes, you know, as far as betting odds are considered, right? But Derrick Henry, 60-1 right now.
Ooh, is Alex throwing out there a little a betting?
No advice. Definitely not any advice here. But I'm just saying, I think that's very interesting because when you really start to think about it, I mean, Derrick Henry is having, just a renaissance kind of year, and this might be his best year.
Well, here's the thing with MVP, and you guys can both attest to this, and most valuable player, it's supposed to be the guy that if you take them off of that team, are they having the success that they're having? And the answer is no. That's why Lamar has won it twice, and to me, this team and Lamar is not what he is this year without Derrick Henry. So Derrick Henry has to be in that conversation.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's move on. It's time for What's the Word? I'm going to throw out a statement, and you guys fill in the blank with the word that you think fits best. So, Kyle, I'm going to start with you. Going into this game, right, all the buildup was about the quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson on one side, the Ravens got the win, but the rookie, Jaden Daniels for the Commanders, certainly held his own. So, Kyle, Jaden Daniels is what?
All right, I'm going to start out big because I've started out too small in this game. A savior. Jaden Daniels is a savior for this franchise. And they've gone, we're talking about basically a dozen years that the Washington football franchise has gone without a franchise quarterback. The last guy, RG3, had his hopes kind of collapsed against the Ravens, actually, starting a downward slide to his career. So Jaden Daniels is the bright light, the first big bright light these fans have seen in 12 years.
You know what? He's not wrong. I actually like that word, savior.
That's creative,
That's a
Kyle.
good one.
You've been thinking about that all day, haven't you?
That's a good one. All right, Rick, I'm going to throw this next one out for you. Mark Andrews, obviously we're not seeing the production out of him that we're used to seeing, but gets in the end zone yesterday. So, Mark Andrews finding the end zone for the first time this season is what?
Resilient. Talent is not the issue here. It's a guy who has just had to wait for his opportunity. With so many mouths that need to be fed on this offense and so many guys that can do it in different ways, Mark Andrews waited for his opportunity. He capitalized yesterday. It is a lot easier said than it is done to keep yourself invested as a wideout or a tight end who is not getting the ball on a consistent basis when you've been a Pro Bowler before. Number 89 is resilient and a team player. Guy's all about winning.
Absolutely, especially when you see other tight ends also contributing at a high level as well, but definitely team player. All right, I'm going to throw this fun one out for both of you guys. This is a game where all three phases of the game are so critical, and the special teams play of the game came from none other than Big Country Ben Cleveland blocking a field goal. So, Kyle, I'll start with you. It was what? Seeing Ben Cleveland block a field goal.
There's only one word for this, and it's inspiring. It was inspiring. I don't know about you guys. I weigh a few lbs more than I used to back in the day, and I just love seeing a big guy get those verts. I'm about to do some calf raises after this TV spot, man. I'm about to practice my reach, get up in the sky. Come on, let's go, Ben Cleveland. You get up there, big guy.
I was going to go with a hyphenated word. I'm going to go with gravity defying.
I like that. I'm not going to be able to top that.
We've talked about Derrick Henry. He shouldn't be able to run that fast, weighing 250 pounds. Ben Cleveland shouldn't be blocking field goals. He does look like, the mountain from Game of Thrones, but for him to be doing that, it's just incredible. Gravity defying.
Gravity defying is it. Kyle, we're not going to come up with anything better than that. It's good to see him involved, though. He's a guy who has a ton of talent, and to see him contributing to a big win, I like that.
Absolutely. All right, Kyle with the Baltimore Banner, thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Let's have a dunk contest with Ben Cleveland in it later.
All right, so we're going to do that on like a 6-foot hoop. Is that what we're going to get that down so we can compete a little bit?
Yeah, let's go. Let's all do it.
There we
Us
go.
and Ben.
All right, we got more Purple Connection coming up after the break. Stay with us.
WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely. WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
And welcome back to Purple Connection. Time for the league checkup. Let's start with a look at the AFC North standings. So right now the Ravens still sitting atop of the AFC North, but the Steelers getting a big win against the Raiders yesterday. Justin Fields just keeps getting it done for the Steelers.
Fields does. This is the guy that I think teams hoped he would be coming out of college. He's definitely a little more polished than he was when he was with Chicago. Cincy, to me, is the team that they could easily be 4-2 right now. Offense starting to click a little bit. You didn't necessarily see it last night. Cincy, you still need to watch out for. I think that they're going to be closer to the Ravens than the Steelers will be.
How about the Browns? Do you have anything to say about the Browns? It's a big win, right?
Yeah, you know what I have to
Nick
say about
Sirianni
that?
yelling at the that's a big win, right? Beating the Browns.
Browns should have signed Joe Flacco again. That's what the Browns should have did.
Oh, my gosh. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the league right now because there were some good ones going on yesterday.
Yeah.
We had the best one, though. We had the best one with the Ravens Commanders here. But the Lions blowing out the Cowboys 47-9. But bigger picture, because the Lions are a team that people are really talking about as a Super Bowl contender, but Aiden Hutchinson going down with that season-ending injury. Just a huge blow to that Lions team.
I mean, as a football fan in general, you want to see teams healthy as the season progresses and you get to those big moments. The Lions are one of those great teams this year. Losing a guy like that, you can't replace it, Aiden Hutchinson. But if anybody can get the team to rally, it's a coach like Dan Campbell.
Absolutely, and we got Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence maybe getting left in London after this trip with Jacksonville. Caleb Williams has a career day in London out there. Really nice to see the rookie, the first-round pick, the number 1 overall pick, start to come along as the season goes on.
And you know what? You got to love what Chicago does with a guy like that. Rookie coming in, you need to slow the game down for him a little bit. What do? You try and make concepts easy, but also you go out and you get DJ Moore last year, who you already have. You get a guy like Keenan Allen. They surround him with weapons and guys who can make his life easier, and that's what you're starting to see in Chicago. Caleb looked good. Or does Caleb look good, or is Jacksonville that bad?
I think Caleb's starting to look good, and I'm not just saying that because he was my fantasy quarterback and Keenan Allen was one of my receivers this week. But
smart play on your end.
He looks good. And then the last one here, this is a team that the Ravens are now facing next. The Buccaneers putting up 51 points against the Saints. Granted, this is a Saints team. Spencer Rattler was in at quarterback. But still, to see 51 points in an NFL game, this offense for the Bucs is for real.
And Spencer Rattler doesn't play defense. Saints have a pretty good defense,
sure,
or at least they're supposed to have. I said it a few weeks ago, Baker Mayfield and the way that he is playing this year, this Tampa team, who I thought was going to go down a notch this year, they are legit and they are a force in the NFC. That offense is as good as any offense in the league. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin still playing like they're 25.
I mean, we're talking about a pick-your-poison offense. That Bucs offense is another scary offense, too, with what you just mentioned. You got Mike Evans and then
Chris Godwin
out there as well in the slot. So going to be tough for the Ravens defense next week.
That's going to be a heck of a matchup.
Absolutely.
Prime time.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to talk more about that game when we wrap up the show. Stay with us on the other side of the break.
WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely. WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
Game day advice brought to you by Rice Murtha Injured? Best advice? Call Rice.
And welcome back to Purple Connection as we look ahead to the Monday Night Football matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A word of advice: don't let Baker cook. Baker leads the NFL in touchdowns with 15, 9 of those coming in the last 3 weeks. Now, Baker might have a 3-6 record against the Ravens, but this Buccaneers offense is just no joke. We just talked about it, Rick. 51 points against the Saints.
And guess what? Baker's 3-6 against the Ravens. Hasn't played the Ravens in a Bucs uniform yet.
He hasn't.
The Browns and the Panthers.
I was going to say, this is a little bit different than those Browns teams that Baker was playing with. But, Rick, as you look to this game, obviously the Ravens are rolling. I mean, it seems like so long ago this team started 0-2 and it was like all doom and gloom. But now 4 straight wins. Everything seems to be going in the right direction. Is this kind of, what do you think about this spot for the Ravens? This kind of feels like, I don't want to say a trap, but this could be a tough spot for the Ravens with Baker and that offense in Tampa rolling.
It absolutely is a trap game. But look, I think this team has been here before. They know what they're doing in these situations. They know top of mind, what's the goal here? And that's the goal, 1 week at a time. You can't look too far ahead. This is the task this week. It's Monday Night Football, okay? You got Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. This is a big, big game. And really, to me, it's a test for the defense. Since you played a team like Kansas City in that offense to open up the year, how do you fare against a Mike Evans and a Chris Godwin and a Bucky Irving, the rookie out of Oregon, who can make dynamic plays with his speed? This is the ultimate test for this defense. And we know Todd Bowles down in Tampa, he's going to have his defense with some sort of game plan here to try and attack this Ravens team. What that will be, I don't know. Is it pressure on Lamar? Is it stacking the boxes saying, you know what, if we're going to lose, we want to make your guys on the outside continuously beat us one-on-one? It's going to be a great matchup. I think it's going to be high scoring because, again, 2 potent offenses that are showing no signs of slowing down right now.
We're talking about a tough test for this defense. I mean, you start out the season with Patrick Mahomes, and then, you have Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and then, Jaden Daniels. I mean, it's kind of just been that kind of season for the Ravens. Just what would a successful game for the Ravens look like for you defensively?
I think it's pressure with the front three and allowing more guys to drop into coverage. Tampa, there's no doubt about it. They're way better at passing the ball than they are running the ball. Okay, I mentioned the rookie Bucky Irving. He's better in the passing game than running between the tackles. Rashad White, their guy who runs between the tackles, he was banged up last week against the Saints. He didn't play. Will he be healthy to go? We don't know yet. We'll see. Pressure on Baker with your front three allows more guys to drop into coverage. And the Ravens D-line, as you know, they've been doing a great job getting pressure.
Yeah, they have been. And, we're talking about the Bucs offense. We could switch gears to talk about the Ravens offense because on the flip side of that, I don't think they're going to have any trouble at all. This is a bad Bucs defense. So I can see this one being a little bit of a track meet. I don't think anyone wants to see a track meet, but I can see this being very back and forth.
I think so, too. And I think we're going to get high scoring, no doubt about it. But like I said, if there is any coach, defensive mindset, who can come up with some game plan to slow them down, I mean, Todd Bowles is one of the best defensive mindsets in the entire league.
Absolutely. All right. So we started this season, obviously, with a tough test against the Chiefs, and then, before the season, it looked like the Cowboys were going to be good. Obviously, we know that hasn't been the case. The Bills haven't been great so far. The Bengals starting to pick things up. I'm looking ahead at this Ravens schedule. Just where do things get tough again for this team? Are we going all the way to the Thursday night game? I mean, because we're talking about Bucs, Browns, Broncos, and then Thursday night against the Bengals. And the Bengals, this is a team that could come in here with 5 wins.
I mean, look, I think Monday night is a big matchup. It's not going to be an easy task, to say the least. You go down the schedule. If you can get past Tampa, then you have the Browns and the Broncos, of course.
Yeah.
And I mean, no game is a given in the NFL.
Especially in the division.
Especially in the division, but those are two teams who certainly aren't playing up to par right now. The Bengals, who I expect to be clicking by then, the Steelers, I mean, just in-division games, I think in general, they're rough on the body, okay? You know it's going to be a dogfight, and that's what you're going to get with anything in the AFC North. And then on the back end of that, it doesn't get any easier on the tail end. The Chargers, not going to be an easy game. You had the Eagles. I know you don't like the Eagles, but that's going to be a tough game, okay? And then the Texans, second to last game of the season on Christmas Day. That's going to be a great game, too.
Keep telling yourself that Eagles game's going to be a tough one. Keep telling yourself that.
You know what? What am I saying? They might not be. We don't know what Nick Sirianni's doing.
We don't know anything. I mean, week-to-week league, right? But it all starts Monday night against the Bucs. We can't really look much past that.
No, got to get through them first.
Absolutely. All right, well, that'll do it for this edition of the Purple Connection. I'm Alex Lazy. He's Rick Ritter. Thank you for staying up with us. We do this every Monday night during the season. We'll be back next Monday. Have a good night.